I am Natalie Cook. I am the CEO and founder of Finance Fight Club, and today I'm here to talk to you about how you can fight for your financial future as a small business owner. So if you are here today, please like and subscribe and comment below and share it with a friend because we're trying to get more views, and I think that might help. I don't know, but please test it for me and share it with lots of friends, maybe your grandma. My grandparents aren't living anymore, but I wouldn't have used YouTube, so that may or may not apply. Today, we're going to talk about cash. So if you are a business owner and you don't care about cash, I don't know what we're doing here. But today we're talking about cash, but we're not talking about physical cash. And a long time ago, my very first job in Seattle, I had to take the rental checks, and I think a few of them were in cash to the bank a couple times a month, I think. I don't remember. And I did not enjoy that part of my job because it just felt so stressful to carry like one of those zipper bank pouches to the bank and like wait for all the checks to be deposited. Thank goodness we have automatic payments now and not physical checks. Although my son's daycare, I still write not daycare. He's in pre-K. I still write a physical check to them, and I could do bill pay. I should probably do that because I don't have any more checks. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We are here to talk about your business and cash and how you think about cash and management. So before I can do that, I want to share that I am pretty lowly, that's not a word. I'm pretty unfavorable towards debt. I don't want people to use credit cards and debt to fund their business. You should use your own cash that you've built in your business, and we should be working on building huge cash margins so you don't have to take on debt. I would say I'm in the middle space of like zero debt. Maybe that's not achievable, but let's be really smart about debt and use debt as an accelerant and not a band-aid. And if we're doing that, that's okay. But let's keep in mind that our goal is to produce more cash and get you out of debt. And that's what we work with our clients for. So I feel like that needs to be said, because if you're here being like, hey, how do we, max our credit card points or do all this funky stuff with debt, that's not for me. Go find another YouTube video. So today we're going to talk about cash, and I have a very specific way that I like to think about cash when we're talking to business owners. There's lots of different pieces. There's the cash flow, there's the cash management. I will link a blog post to my kind of cash management triangle philosophy, and we'll talk a little bit about it here today. But I want to share just a couple stories of things that we're doing for clients right now that are really important for that cash management. Now, before you even think about cash management, you have to have enough revenue coming in, and that's key to your business. We worked with a client last year where we just did a project on like, hey, let's get your cash under it. And we did this whole project, and really what it came out was, hey, you just need more revenue. Like, you are not getting enough revenue in the door, so we don't have enough cash to build a strategy. We just need more revenue. And if you're there, keep watching this video for sure, because I need the likes and the views. But if you are there and you're like, I don't know how to manage my cash, you might have a revenue problem, not a cash problem. So let's get your revenue up, and then we'll come back to the cash. But you can do both at the same time, and you can do them well. Let's talk about cash flow specifically, and then what we need to think about when it talks about cash flow. So this is how cash comes into your business and then goes out of your business. And that's your revenue, and then your expenses, and your owner compensation, and your debt servicing. Those are all things that you have to use cash to pay for. And if you are just starting your business, let's talk about working capital. So working capital is the money that you need to bridge the gap between when revenue comes in, or when expenses go out and then revenue comes back in. So if you have payroll, but you're twice a month and your revenue comes in once a month, you need to hold on to some of that revenue through that payroll cycle, and that's your working capital. Now, each business has a different working capital requirement. If you have a physical inventory business, your working capital is going to be very different than if you are a service-based business and you get paid on the first of every month. Your working capital is going to be pretty light or non-existent. And so it really depends on your business. We're going to make a whole nother video on working capital. So if you're like, I don't understand what that means, sit tight, we've got you covered. But today, just know that there's an amount of cash that you kind of need as a baseline to kind of keep the business running. And if you can get that number, that's going to be your baseline support of, I can breathe. Like we know that we're not going to overdraft the account or have to rely on credit cards, which aren't the worst. I'm just not going to talk about that today. But I don't want you relying on your credit cards because you don't have enough cash. So using credit cards, whatever. But if you don't have enough cash in the business, you're just never going to recoup from that. So make sure you have enough cash sitting there. You're not overdrawing that. Let's say you have $10,000 of working capital needs. That kind of has to stick in your account every month. And you can't take that out to pay yourself because then you're just going to be constantly like, oh no, we're out of money. We're out of money. We're out of money. That is step number one. So understand that working capital need. The second is building cash reserves. Now, I have 3 buckets that I really like for cash reserves. You don't need to go crazy. Yes, there's like Profit First where you could have 25 bank accounts in these cash reserves. I don't think that's necessary, but I do like 3. I like 3 buckets. Where you put these buckets is up to you and how you want to manage your money. If you work with me, we will have you do 3 accounts, but up to you. You want your main checking. This is just your operating expenses. Revenue and expenses are going to come in and out of this account. And you're going to just make sure that working capital is there, right? Then I want you to have an emergency fund. And this is like, hey, this is your oh shit money, which I don't know if I can say. I can say that on YouTube, right? Like, I don't know. It can be edited out. This is like what happens if revenue goes to 0 or you lose 3 customers and you have to bridge this gap. You have to pay your people, or you have to, you have a big expense come up because something breaks or whatever. You need that money sitting in its own account. You don't touch it. It's just there. Yes, like it counts as net income on your P&L, but you just need it because things come up and emergencies happen. And if you don't have it, you're screwed. So this is what keeps you from needing debt as a Band-Aid, is this emergency fund. How much you need depends on your business. And that's something that we would customize for you if you were to work with us. But if you're not going to work with us, doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is to have something. At a minimum, I like 2 months of payroll. Just start there. And if you're like, I can't even get to that, I don't even know how to start, just put $100 in an account every month. Like tiny, tiny bits matter. You don't need to have this grand plan. But again, that comes back to, you might not just be making enough revenue to have this emergency fund. So keep all of those things in mind, that you have to start small, and that's okay. But have an emergency fund account. The last one is taxes. Have your own tax account. Just save your taxes separately. Now, it depends on your entity type as to where you might save those. We do different things depending on if you're an LLC, an S Corp, which is a pass-through entity, or a C Corp. But we want you to have tax reserves, and I like having them in a separate account. Now, it's not always like a huge amount. If you're a C Corp, that's different than an S Corp and LLC. Sometimes that we will say, hey, personally, if you're going to take owner's draws, we're going to pull it out, but we're also going to save this buffer. Just do not skimp on saving up for your taxes. Have someone estimate them for you on a regular basis so that you are not surprised come tax season, because that will also make you reliant on some sort of debt to service that tax bill. And that's never a good scenario. So to recap, have working capital, and then your 3 buckets of savings are, oh wait, we didn't finish one. Your 2 buckets of savings that we talked about so far, an emergency fund and a tax fund. The 3rd bucket, which doesn't have to be its own account, is a future investment bucket. So yeah, I said 3 accounts. Now I realize I just messed up everybody, but yeah, you can have an OpEx account, emergency fund, and a tax savings, but then you also want to have like a future investment, and that can sit in any of those funds or a 4th account, whatever works for you. But you want to be saving up for future investments so that you don't have to rely on debt. And these are small things. They don't have to be big things. Like let's say I want to budget for a new computer every month, or not every month, every year, every 2 years, new cell phone, small office things. Like you can just put that in a bucket and be like, okay, this is it. And it's fine if you want to sit it in your emergency fund. Just you need to know where those buckets are. So 3 buckets of cash reserves. Those are your emergency, like you only hit this if X, Y, and Z are true. This is not just, hey, we're bridging the gap because we weren't managing our cash well. Taxes, which you don't touch until you have to pay taxes, and then you start rebuilding that fund. And a 3rd of, hey, these are future investments we want to make into the business. And then you need your working capital number. Now, the other one is just general cash management, and that is going to come in a couple different ways. That's going to be forecasting your revenue forecast. Where's revenue going to come in? How are you managing that? What are you looking at on your revenue forecast? And then the other one is budgeting. So really understanding where you're going to spend that money that you get in from your revenue and where that's going to be allocated across. Now, ideally, expense management and budgeting is going to push into revenue. You're going to be saying, hey, yeah, of course we need to service revenue. So we need X number of people on the team to service that amount of revenue. But we're also going to invest X number of dollars, and that's going to generate more revenue. And so that's how you want to think about those. And that's good cash flow management, forecasting and budgeting. And then there's also the cash flow, the timing piece. So if you are highly nervous about that cash flow coming in and out of the business, and you haven't buffered your accounts to account for it to get to the monthly level, so you know, hey, everything's fine, we're at the monthly view level, meaning like, hey, we only have to look at our cash flow once a month. I really like to build 13-week cash flow forecasts for businesses that might be like, hey, we don't really know, and that can help get people out of that cycle. You can use weekly or daily cash flow management, but we really try to get that up to the monthly level so that we're not managing on that. If you are heavy inventory based, you're going to want a 13-week cash flow, and there's really great people that can do that for you. We typically do it a couple times to get them up to the monthly level. So let me recap on cash flow management. Working capital, number one, understand those working capital needs. We will make a whole nother video on how to figure that out. Number two is your cash reserves. So those are those three buckets: your emergency fund, your taxes, and your future investments. And then the third part is the overall management. So that's revenue forecasting, that's budgeting, and then that's the cash flow timing piece, which is a cash flow forecast. Slightly different than a revenue forecast, but very related. So if you're going to forecast your sales, but you're going to have 30-day terms, your cash flow forecast has to know when that cash is going to hit the account. So that's what that's talking about. If you can kind of master these, your business is going to just feel calm. And if you can't master these, you need an expert to come in and help master them. And that would be a fractional CFO support level person or someone on your team that can manage. There are really good business owners that do phenomenal jobs managing their cash flow. So it's not to say that business owners can't do it. They absolutely can. And I've seen great ones where I'm like, wait, what are you using us for? Because you're doing great. Our goal is to help strategize and make those decisions based on the cash flow management and get you out of that daily management. So if you liked this video, please like and subscribe and share with all of your friends and your grandma, and comment below with questions and check out our resources. Thanks for coming in today, and good luck managing your cash flow. I wish you lots and lots and lots and lots of cash or dollars in your bank account. Thank you.